Today we're going to talk about the Japanese drama Kingyo-suma, known as the Fishbowl Wives. The story revolves around 6 different wives living in the same building. The couple Sakura and her husband Takuya moved into a luxury apartment a few days ago. They own a hair salon. Sakura's life seems so glamorous and many neighbors envy her, but her husband is constantly cheating on her, but everyone thinks that her husband loves her too much for throwing her a big birthday party. We see Takuya having sex with his mistress as Sakura keeps herself busy with the decorations and arrangements. Takuya continues to do whatever he wants. All the 6 wives join at a table as a fortune teller urges Sakura to get a goldfish because it brings good luck with your relationship with your soulmate. The next day, as Sakura was getting some things for Takuya, she met Haruto, who owns a shop of goldfish. They became friends instantly and have a good talk until Takuya texts her to come home. Sakura asks Takuya if she can buy a goldfish, to which he agrees. Sakura and Haruto start spending more time together as she's helping him around his shop. It's been a long time since she's given freedom to actually work properly and without criticism. She buys herself a goldfish and heads back home. When Sakura walks through the front door apartment, she sees Takuya is in a bad mood. He smashes the goldfish bowl on the floor and was about to step on the fish, but Sakura saved it and took it back to Haruto as the goldfish was injured. Haruto put plaster on her wrist and gifted her a glass goldfish, which symbolizes toughness. When Sakura returns to her apartment, Takuya makes a bold decision and decides to take the salon away from her and puts a worker, Nene, in charge. Sakura stands up for herself, calling him junk, and runs away. Haruto saves Sakura as she's soaking in the rain and takes her home. He showers her down and cares for her. As they stare in each other's eyes longingly, they share a kiss. Sakura wakes up next to Haruto, feeling calm and peaceful away from Takuya. The pair have breakfast together. News of Sakura and Haruto's extramarital affair begins to be famous. Women gasp and gossip about it, but Sakura and Haruto continue to get closer. Takuya also saw the pictures of Sakura and Haruto together, thinking about what it means. Yuka is given extra responsibility at work, and her husband Minoru seems disinterested in her. He won't have sex with her and declines the idea of having kids too. Yuka receives a message from Jun, her ex-boyfriend. Yuka decides to catch up and head out for dinner and drinks with Jun. He compliments Yuka about not having sex with her husband. He even tries to kiss her outside and invited her to go to a nearby hotel, but was rejected by Yuka. At home, she tries to be sexy with Minoru, but he ignores her, telling her he has work in the morning. Lusting for a warm embrace from someone who actually takes interest in her, Yuka goes to meet Jun and they make love in the fireworks. In the morning, Yuka shows up at the goldfish shop and confesses to Sakura that she cheated on her husband. She also makes a bold decision and deletes his number. After buying a goldfish as she was walking, Jun shows up and names the fish Yuka, as it is the name of the woman he loves. Jun takes Yuka's hand and they leave. Takuya comes to the goldfish shop and has a fight with Haruto, injuring his arm. Sakura is helping Haruto to separate out the fish, but Haruto's injuries are getting worse, and he is struggling to lift things. Just then, Haruto's younger sister shows up, but Sakura pretends to be a part-time worker. Meanwhile, Noriko and her husband have been married for 8 years, but Noriko's husband wants to spice things up between them, so he asks his junior Suta to join them in extramarital activities. But before he agrees, he wants to talk to Noriko first. At her place, Noriko and Suta end up holding hands, with her husband demanding them to kiss. Suta knows Noriko is uncomfortable, so they decided to chat instead. This is enough to arouse Noriko's husband, so he takes his wife to bed. Suta felt very awkward. Noriko meets the fortune teller who encourages her to be more free. Noriko finds herself thinking of Suta rather than her husband. She even brings Suta food to his home after knowing he is sick. Noriko admits to Suta that she gets turned on just from watching Suta eat the food she prepared. The pair then had sex. Meanwhile, Takuya shows up at the goldfish shop and calls out for Sakura as if he's mentioning a fish, trying to unsettle the pair. Ron tells Sakura to stay away from her brother and that he deserves much better than her. Sakura takes these words to heart and goes to her apartment. Takuya is already there and he demands Sakura to apologize. Instead, Sakura feeds the goldfish. Takuya is furious as he tries to shout at Sakura, but she drops her wedding ring on the table. Sakura returns to Haruto with the goldfish with no intention of breaking up with him. Then we see Saya asleep on the couch with a mess around her. She's depressed and no longer running like she used to. Her husband Sota feels helpless. As he heads out for a run in the morning, he thinks of bright times with his wife when she was actually a better runner than him. Saya also struggles to socialize with other people. Sota receives a call from his marathon club with the couple inviting them along to camp that weekend, but Saya quickly declines, claiming he doesn't know anything. Sota gets angry, demanding Saya to open up and talk to him. Sota told her that she's changed and that he'd do everything for her sake. Saya simply turns around, saying he changed also. In the past, Sota encourages Saya to give up her job and become a housewife, which caused her fitness level to drop. Sota became selfish, not taking his wife's consideration into account. Saya ended up staying at Takuya's place for the night to get away from Sota. Takuya mentions about Sakura cheating on him. Takuya brushes the hair out of Saya's face and encourages her to come anytime. When Saya returns to her apartment, she finds Sota already gone. Ram again confronts Sakura about not breaking up with Haruto. Haruto tells Ran to leave them and asks Sakura not to pay attention to her. The couple head out to a glass bowl shop and then goes to the beach, Haruto's secret spot. That's where he tells her about his life and how he doesn't want to take over his father's business. On the other hand, Sota finishes his run and contemplates ringing Saya, but she's still thinking of Takuya. She steps in the elevator where the fortune teller appears and encourages her to run again. Saya ignores her advice and goes to Takuya's apartment. They kiss and start to become intimate. Sota calls Saya, breaking the mood, declaring through heavy breath that he's going to run all the way home. He also apologizes to her. Saya changes her mind and heads back home again, deciding not to cheat on her husband. She wears her joggers and decides to run and meet Sota. The couple reconcile and embrace each other. Takuya meets Kazuma, Haruto's father. A woman named Masako shows up at the goldfish shop and wants to speak to Haruto alone. Haruto's father sent her there because Takuya has shown up the pictures showing off. Hisako heads out walking her dog but loses it and rushes after it. A stranger picks up the dog and Hisako and the man talk a bit. After some time, Hisako starts suffering from a headache and faints. The man, Baba, takes her to his home. He used to live in a high-rise apartment but was kicked out when he was found cheating on his wife. While Hisako is recovering, Baba leans in and kisses her, but Hisako pulls away, saying she has a husband and a son, and leaves Baba's house. Hisako visits the fortune teller and she tells her that she needs to listen to what her heart is trying to tell her. At the goldfish shop, Haruto questions the validity of his and Sakura's relationship after seeing how high profile she actually is. Sakura gives him a haircut on the rooftop, which triggers Haruto's feelings further. Haruto's father shows up at his shop the next day, asking him what he will do about all the mess he made. In order to prevent any further issues, Sakura decides to leave the shop for good. Haruto wakes up with Sakura not beside him. She hasn't returned to Takuya either. Sakura is working in a small salon. Masako finds out and gave her address to Haruto, knowing Sakura is special to him. Meanwhile, Hisako is still suffering from headaches. After having an affair with Baba, she is unable to focus on anything. Her son Yuta saw her leaving Baba's house after making love, so Hisako makes a bold decision and chooses to break things off with Baba. She's actually suffering from memory loss due to extreme stress. It seems her husband cheated on her, but she thinks she's the one cheating without realizing that Baba is actually her husband. Hisako goes to the goldfish shop where she meets Baba and he tells her the truth. His real name is Taguchi. Hisako found a picture of the three of them in Yuta's room. He sincerely apologizes to her and gives their marriage a second chance. Takuya tracks down Sakura and tells her not to be stubborn and come home. Sakura has had enough and demands divorce papers. Takuya then tries to rape Sakura. Meanwhile, Haruto drives up to Sakura's place. Haruto shows up just in time and saves Sakura. He takes her and leaves. Haruto confesses to Sakura he thinks about her a lot and is confident that he loves her. He asks Sakura to stay with him and gave her space. Sakura wants to divorce Takuya, and thanks to Masako's legal know-how, she steps up. On the other hand, Yuriha and her husband are renovating their apartment. Her husband is prioritizing his mom over her. During the renovation, she started to get close to Momoki, one of the construction workers. He also has a bruise, the same as Yuriha. She hides hers while Momoki is not bothered by his scar. He visits Yuriha to cover up his tattoo. Yuriha clings over the idea of having her own bathroom. It's a place where she can be herself and gets to design everything on her own. However, her mother-in-law declines. She runs out of the house and Momoki follows her. They end up kissing and having sex. Takuya finds his business failing. He wanted to control Sakura and take her away, but she's actually important for his business's success. Masako threatens Takuya that she will publish the videos of him abusing Sakura if he doesn't give Sakura a divorce. Sakura reluctantly agrees to couple mediation. Haruto tells her that he will always stand by her side. Haruto tells his father about his plans to marry Sakura and decides not to take over the company and run the goldfish shop. Takuya and Sakura show up at therapy where Takuya is genuinely sorry to Sakura, but also has no intention of fighting against divorce. Takuya sold his apartment and has moved out. The salon is also empty as the business is failing. She feels guilty and tries to save the business by meeting many businessmen and women, but it doesn't get anywhere. Haruto tells her that her empathy is one of the reasons he's fallen for her. The pair end up making love. In the morning, Sakura leaves without saying goodbye. 2 years later, Yuri is pregnant. Suta and Noriko are still together. Baba and Hisako are living together happily, while Saya and Sota are running again. Yuriha has found peace with her husband, but also continues her affair with Momoki. The fortune teller is the one who uploaded Sakura's and Haruto's pictures in the first place. Both Takuya and Sakura have their own salons and are doing a good job. As fireworks explode, Sakura and Haruto watch the sky separately. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories.